Being compliant is just straightforward. Being maliciously compliant? Well, that's another story. Welcome to this episode of Malicious Compliance. Our first one is from 87 Lonely Girl. This was years ago. I had a young manager, only 1 year older than me, and he was very approachable. After working together for many years, I was meeting every criteria for promotion, along with several others on my team with more experience than me. There was a company-wide promotion freeze while they resurrected, but after, there was a bow wave of applicants, obviously. My manager was honest and told me others deserved it more than me, which I completely agreed with, but he did promise to get me the same money as they to acknowledge the work I do. Well, he lied. They got 10% raises and were on slightly more than me. I got 1.75%. I told him I was working a rule and did. My position meant I needed approval for everything I did, so I stalled everything, waiting on a senior's review and approval. I stopped training every new position, graduate or more senior, but new staff. I always did this before, so this meant more time spent by others doing this. Even in meetings, I shouldn't have been making decisions, so I stopped. I took notes, then had to ask for other people to approve or reject every little detail, which I was plenty knowledgeable in. He complained many times, but I refused to work above my pay. Things ground to an almost complete stop on every task I was working on, much to his displeasure. Yet it wasn't anything he could complain about, since I was doing more than I should have in the first place. I told him what to do if he wanted me to help like I did before. He assured me he would. Another year goes by with no promotion and me doing nothing above my job description. By this point, he's sour and hesitant to give me new tasks, but I just bide my time. I knew something was coming. A job comes up internally that suits me to a T. Even others on my team wouldn't fit it like I did. It was also 2 positions higher than my current role. I apply and get the job in record time. Suddenly, he had my promotion sorted, more money than my colleagues, but I was done and handed him my notice. He managed to negotiate a staggered transition, but paying my new 35% raise salary for my time. Biding my time never felt sweeter in those 3 months. Now I sit at the same level as him, watching him seethe in every meeting we attend together. It makes me very happy every time I see his look of annoyance aimed at me. A manager that promises so much and then delivers absolutely nothing, you really have to question if they cared about what you desired or anything like that. The way you ended up saying fine and maliciously complying and then now are sitting at the same level as him, it probably makes him wish that he would have taken you a bit more seriously. This next one is by Rabid Rathian. A story of malicious compliance from many years ago when I was a teenager. Less than 1 year into my retail job, where I did recovery, basically tidying your allocated department so it was neat and presentable for the following day. There was a rule that if you found a spillage on the floor, you had to have one person stay and guard the spill so no customer would come along and slip in it, and one person to go and get the cleaning supplies cart to clean it up. Or if that wasn't in its place, and you couldn't find it, then at least one of those yellow caution slippery floor signs to put there. On the day of this malicious compliance, I was working in the household cleaning section, which was right in the back corner of the store. About halfway into my 3-hour shift, I walked into an aisle and discovered a bottle of dishwashing liquid had been knocked off the shelf and had pretty much exploded, leaving a pale yellow sheen of liquid that covered almost the whole middle of the aisle. I thought about the rule for a moment, and then realized that because of where my department was, I would be waiting a very long time for another staff member to even realize there was a spill, let alone help, and that it was unlikely customers would go down that aisle in the next few minutes anyway. So I walked out of the aisle and went to go find the cleaning stuff, but only got a few meters away from the spill when I bumped into the store manager, who we'll call Ray. We had the following conversation, paraphrased a bit since this was from around 20 years ago. "Hey, how you going with your department?" Good, but there's a spill in the dishwashing aisle, so I'm going to get the cleaning cart. Who's standing watch over it? No one. The other staff don't really come up here, so I was going to quickly go. No, you don't leave spills unattended. What if a customer comes along and trips in it? Go back and stay there and make sure any customers who go down that aisle are aware of it. Okay. In that case, can you please get me the cleaning trolley so I can clean it up? No, I need to get to a meeting upstairs. Just wait for another staff manager to come past and ask them to go get it for you. In the meantime, don't leave the spill unattended. But I was trying to say that because of how out of the way my department was, it was unlikely another staff member would come past. But he walked off before I finished talking. About 20 minutes later, the recovery shift ended, where Ray had gone home for the day and the store had closed. The night manager, Lucy, was doing her rounds. When she got to the dishwashing aisle, she stopped. Why are you just standing there? You haven't finished more than half of your department. There's a spill. Well, why didn't you clean it up? I tried, but Ray told me off. I explained to her what happened, and she rolled her eyes and told me to go get the cleaning cart so she could clean it up after she let all of the recovery staff go home. After that, they brought in a rule where if you had a spill and there were no staff around, you were allowed to leave either a shopping basket over it or create a makeshift barrier around it with stock so that you can go and get the cleaning supplies yourself. This just gives me deja vu to Walmart. They had the exact same policy, and I ran into that one time when I watched some lady fucking knock some shit off of the shelf and it shattered, and she just looks at me like, sorry. I literally sat there, I was waving down my coworkers and they thought it was a fucking joke, so a policy like this is detrimental to production in the end. I'm glad they ended up making a change to that. And our final one is from K Savs. Recently, I, 15 female, started getting complaints on the paper round I work. I work a paper round for extra income since I'm not 16 yet and legally in the UK cannot get a proper job. I've had it for 2 years. Lately though, about 2 months or so, I got a new house on the round and they've been nothing but a pain. Not only is it out of my round, so pretty much a hassle to get to, they have to be very rude too. Lately, my boss has been forgetting to put magazines in the papers and they've constantly been complaining, resulting in me getting reprimanded. That in itself isn't bad, but they've yelled at me for not closing their gate properly, getting too close to their Ring doorbell, and waving at their child from the window in the morning. All small things that led to this malicious compliance. 5 weeks ago, however, they were still complaining about getting no magazine, despite me making sure before I delivered that it went through, and I was getting tired. The next time I delivered their papers, I knocked. Bear in mind, I have to get these papers delivered quickly, so it was 6 AM at this point. However, I knocked and knocked until the wife of the grumpy guy opened the door, half asleep, looking agitated. She coughs slightly and in a typical Karen voice she goes, "What the hell do you want?" I look at her with fake stun as if I don't know what I'm doing and tell her, "I'm just delivering the magazine like you asked." At this moment, she knew she couldn't complain because 1, her Ring doorbell caught it all, and 2, I had physically handed it to her this time. Undeniable proof. For the next upcoming weeks, I knocked until they answered the door, making sure to knock extra loud. This morning, however, the husband answered the door and he looked defeated. He flat out looked at me and apologized, in his words at least. "We get it. We're sorry about the complaints. Please stop knocking so early and just get the paper through the door." After that long round, nothing felt more satisfactory than the sweet taste of malicious compliance. I may be underpaid, but it was all worth it to see that face. I mean, you basically made him end up eating his words to a degree. He complained so much that he was effectively complained out. You defeated him by doing exactly what they wanted, and I don't know how much sweeter this could get. I'm glad that in the end this worked out beautifully for you. Alright, that's enough maliciousness for the day. Well, that wraps up this episode of Malicious Compliance. If you liked the video, please drop a like, share my content on all of your social media, subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure to hit the bell so you're notified every time I upload, and drop a comment down below. It really helps with the algorithm and helps new people find my channel. Thanks for watching. Thanks to my patrons. Have a great day and stay safe out there.